Well, hello there. By now I'm sure you've all heard of the recent happenings with Karl Jobst, the only man to be sued by Billy Mitchell and ever lose. For those of you uninformed, Karl Jobst was sued by Billy Mitchell over a YouTube video Karl posted claiming some wild things about Billy back in 2021. To give a little backstory to our key players in this, Billy Mitchell holds a world record in Donkey Kong and was given the title of Video Game Player of the Century. Most of you know him because he got made fun of in that one episode of Regular Show, or the fact that if you imply he might not have gotten his high score in Donkey Kong totally legit, that he'll try and sue you. Once again, he did that to Regular Show. However, for this video, we aren't actually talking about Billy or his Donkey Kong skills, and in fact, for once, Billy somewhat looks like the good guy in the situation. Now, when I said Karl said some wild things in these videos, I meant it. I do want to say that I don't think this situation as a whole should set any precedent for Karl or his content. I do believe that Karl has made good videos, and while I can't comment on his coverage in terms of Billy Mitchell, they are certainly interesting watches. Karl's coverage of whether Billy cheated or not, though, are relevant because that's not what this lawsuit was for, despite him kind of making it look like that's what it was for.
Plus, we will take a quick look at a few of the things we will be arguing about in court. And some of the things Billy is trying to claim are insane. For example, and I swear to God this is real, Billy is trying to claim that he was never banned from Twin Galaxies for cheating.
That being said though, this situation is certainly one where Karl absolutely messed up. The main thing this case revolves around is Apollo Legend, and how Karl claimed Billy Mitchell is the one that pushed him to suicide.
He also sued YouTuber Apollo Legend for $1 million. I haven't spoken about this publicly, but this lawsuit ultimately ended with Apollo giving in and settling with Mitchell. He was forced to remove all of his videos about Mitchell's cheating and paid him a large sum of money. This left him deeply in debt, which required him to find extra work. But with his ongoing health issues, this was all too much of a burden, and he ultimately took his own life.
Now, this lawsuit was started before Apollo Legend had died, but it wasn't until after that Karl started saying that Billy Mitchell pushed him to suicide, or at the very least was happy that Apollo had committed suicide.
Not that Billy Mitchell would ever care though. In fact, when Billy Mitchell thought Apollo died earlier, he expressed joy at the thought.
So what happened was Billy Mitchell sued Apollo Legend for calling him a cheater or whatever. However, the two of them actually settled in court, and Apollo didn't have to end up paying Billy anything. Karl, in his video though, for some reason, went on to say that Apollo had to pay Billy a large amount of money.
I have found that Mr. Jobst was reckless in making the allegations. His assertions were based on a fallacy, namely that Apollo Legend had paid Mr. Mitchell a large sum of money. That was simply wrong, and he had no reasonable basis for asserting it. Yet even after finding out the truth, he has continued to assert that the settlement had a negative financial impact on Apollo Legend, and that he still believes that the settlement was a contributing factor to his decision to commit suicide.
Karl also claimed that Billy was just overjoyed with the knowledge that Apollo had committed suicide. Apparently that's not true either, by the way. Billy and Apollo apparently squashed their beef from what I've heard. But yeah, to try and pin this guy's suicide on Billy is absolutely a crazy claim to make. And if you're gonna say some shit like that, you gotta have like concrete proof to say this. I feel like Karl would have had an infinitely better time fighting Billy in court if these claims weren't made. With that said though, there's actually something funny about this implication that was made. It actually turns out Karl had more to do with Apollo's suicide rather than Billy Mitchell. In Apollo's suicide note, he directly thanks Dark Viper and EasyScape for giving him the final push he needed to commit suicide. He's referring to the video EasyScape made called The Downfall of Apollo Legend. And look who has a credit in the description of that video. Karl. On top of that, there are also messages of Karl considering making a Downfall of Apollo Legend video before EasyScape's video came out. I want to say, I don't think Karl or Dark Viper or Easy are in any way the cause of Apollo committing suicide. I actually think saying shit like that is schizo. But to point the blame at others when you had more to do with this is crazy. It's literally the pot calling the kettle black. Another thing I want to bring up is a screenshot taken not too long ago in what I'm assuming to be Karl's Discord server. Karl says that he will get sued, to which someone else very reasonably asks if he's ever run scripts by lawyers in the past. To which Karl said, no, I don't, because fuck lawyers and fuck what they think. If I want to say something, I will say it. Fuck letting other people tell you what to do. A lawyer will always tell you to say nothing. Who wants to live by that principle? Well, sorry, Karl, maybe if you talk to a lawyer before implicating someone in a and then doubling down on it, maybe if you like ran that by a lawyer, and you probably wouldn't have ended up getting sued. Comment Cop posted an actual part of the legal documents from the lawsuit, and we get a little insight as to why Karl accused Billy of being involved with Apollo's suicide. Mr. Jobst said that he was also aware of a post on Reddit that had been made several days before the settlement became public, in which the person posting said something to the effect of, Karl's playing a dangerous game. Billy forced Apollo Legend to settle and pay him money. This is not a joke. This is a real thing. Karl based his claims that Billy Mitchell was involved in Apollo's based on one post he saw on Reddit, saying that Apollo had to pay Billy a whole shit ton of money. I actually like to think that whoever posted it did it as a joke, thinking not one person could possibly take this seriously. Good job, bro, because you led to an absolutely hilarious lawsuit. This is even funnier when you look at Karl's statement on Twitter saying, "I never intentionally lied regarding Apollo Legend. I relied on incorrect information from multiple sources." Holy fuck, this is literally the source Reddit fucking meme. Oh my god, this is insane. Also, rather than just take the L, Karl still says, "I still believe the decision today was not the correct one." Dude, like, I hate having to side with Billy Mitchell, but, like, unironically, he took the W in this. You were entirely wrong, Karl. To claim Billy was the direct cause for Apollo's suicide, that's just wild. It's just insane. The other part of the legal document directly debunks Karl's claim that Billy took a bunch of money from Apollo, and that Billy wasn't even mentioned in Apollo's note, or the video accompanying it. These claims Karl made did actually affect Billy, and he was able to prove that in court.
It was not as strong as he believed it to be, and it has broken in the contest. I have found that all of this conduct has caused Mr. Mitchell additional personal harm and additional harm to his reputation. It was severely aggravating conduct that merits an award of aggravated damages. Again, I will come shortly to the amount of aggravated damages that I will award.
Getting him barred from events and having other shit happen to him. So it's honestly hard to even think what Karl thought would happen. To wrap this all up though, Karl got destroyed in the legal battle and now has to pay Billy Mitchell at least $250,000.
Coming to the amount of damages that I will award, Mr. Mitchell seeks $400,000 in general damages, that is, damages for non-economic loss, as it is described in the Defamation Act.
It varies from source to source, but $250,000 is the least amount I've seen so far. A lot of people thought this case was about the cheating claims Karl made, when it turns out it was way more. And like I said, I hate having to give Billy Mitchell any type of W because god is he unlikable, but he kind of got a W. I don't know if going forward, if this is like a precedent for Karl or his content. I think some of the things he said should definitely be looked into a little more now. And, you know, hey, maybe he'll talk to lawyers now before making serious claims. Karl does plan to respond next weekend, so maybe we'll see his stance and maybe it won't be, unhinged. Anyway, that's where I'm going to end the video. I don't know, join the Discord, follow me on Twitter, and subscribe, I guess, or you too might owe Billy Mitchell $250,000. Anyway, I don't know. Later.